Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And today I'm going to talk about the 5 things that Generation X will miss during the apocalypse, or in the post-apocalyptic world. As you can imagine, I get a lot of comments about that, oh, we won't have grocery stores anymore, or, we won't have phone service or internet and all this. And most of my subscribers, I think, feel the way I do, that, that's the whole point. That is the entire point, to get rid of all that crap and start over, start fresh. So, but it did get me thinking that there must be some things that we will miss as Gen X. And so I've come up with a list. It was actually quite difficult. It wasn't an easy thing. I couldn't just, rattle them off. It took me a while to come up with 5 things that I think that we would actually miss. So to begin, and maybe this, I live down south in Florida, maybe this is a southern thing, but air conditioning. Now, I grew up without air conditioning. I didn't get full on, central heat and AC until I was in my mid-teens probably. Most of the time we had no air conditioning, just a fan, even down here in Florida. So, and I don't remember it being really bad because I didn't know anything else as a kid. So it wasn't that horrible. It would be an adjustment, and eventually I would acclimate to it. But in the beginning, it would be bad in the summers down here, I got to admit. And I haven't lived up north in a while. I have lived in Washington State and Oregon. So I know that the summers are milder up there. But still, there get some pretty hot days. So I'm not sure in this day and age how many people up north have air conditioning and how much they would miss it if it went away. But down here in the south, it would definitely be missed right away. And it would be missed sorely. Eventually, though, we'd acclimate to it, and it wouldn't be that big a deal. Because, like I said, back in my childhood, we didn't have air conditioning down here in Florida, and I don't remember it being miserable. It just seems normal when I look back, when I remember my childhood. I didn't really know about air conditioning, so it just seemed normal to me. I wasn't miserable at all. Number 4 is gasoline. Now, our modern gasoline has a lot of ethanol in it. I don't know about a lot, 10% or whatever, ethanol. And the gasoline goes bad because of the corn. Used to be, back in the 70s and 80s, you could have a can of gasoline in your garage or something for a long time. Nowadays, weeks or a month or so at the most, and it goes bad. And it'll go bad sitting there in the tanks at the gas station. It just goes bad. So unless you have an electric vehicle with solar power to charge it, or maybe biodiesel, a diesel vehicle, and a way to create biodiesel, you'd be kind of shit out of luck not long after an apocalyptic event, because all gasoline will go bad. Now, they do have certain places where you can go get pure gasoline for marine usage, because boats and those small engines, they don't do well with that ethanol, because boats sit for a lot of time. They don't get driven every day like a car. So boats sit for a lot of time, and the gas will go bad and ruin the engine. So they do sell pure gasoline, but it takes some effort to go find it. Number 3 is music. Now, I myself am not a big music aficionado. I'm a fan of music, don't get me wrong, but I used to buy a tape or a CD and listen to it for a while. I never had a big collection of music. I've never owned an iPod or anything like that. I don't have a big collection of music anywhere. If I hear a good song, I'll, jam out to it or whatever, but music's never been a really huge part of my life. I like music as well as the next guy, but it's just never been my big thing, really important to me. So I myself would not miss it very much, if at all, if I even thought about it. But I know a lot of people would. A lot of people have music is a big part of their life. And even our old music would be hard to to get to, hard to acquire in a post-apocalyptic situation. Especially the internet went down and almost everything's stored on the internet now, unless you have an old school CD collection or something, or maybe a collection on a hard drive or something, not stored in the cloud. You might be safe, but still, it'll be difficult to come by if you're not prepared. And I think that music is such a big part of a lot of people's lives that will be missed. Number 2, taxes. Gen X has always paid taxes, and it's a good feeling to contribute to our government. Psych. Bullshit. No. Number 2 is not taxes. That's bullshit. I'm just messing with y'all. Number 2 is your drink of choice. All of us have a favorite drink that will be hard to come by in a post-apocalyptic world. Coffee, beer, Diet Pepsi, whatever. You know what I mean? We're going to be drinking water that's probably been boiled beforehand, just tasteless water that doesn't really, make you feel good. It'll keep you alive, but it's not going to be the best tasting water ever. We're going to have to purify it ourselves, and unless you live up in the mountains with clear streams running down, and that's some of the best water I've ever tasted. Just drank right out of a mountain stream, get down off your horse and just go down there and drink. Up there, you can be relatively sure that it's clean water, and it was, and that water was actually delicious. That's the best water I've ever tasted. Most of us won't have that. We'll have to sterilize our water and boil it and all kinds of stuff. It's not going to be fun. That will be something that we'll miss, because I have my certain drinks that I enjoy, and just switching over to water, unless you have an animal to milk, that's pretty much going to be all we'll drink is water. And number 1, indoor plumbing. Yeah, indoor plumbing. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be hard. Even if you make yourself an outhouse, build yourself an outhouse, you can't put it right by the front door because of the smell. So you got to put it away from the house a ways. And if it's raining, snowing, no matter what the weather's like, when nature calls, you got to go. So you're going to have to go out there into that weather, and then the outhouse is going to be the same temperature or worse than the outside weather. Especially down here in Florida, because I've been in these the porta potties, the plastic ones on construction sites when I was working doing construction. And the sun just cooks on those things. And you walk in there, you step in there, and the first thing that hits you is the smell, and the second thing that hits you is the heat. If it's 97 degrees outside, it's like 150 in that porta potty, and it's just complete misery. But when you have to go, you have to go. You can only hold it so long. And no matter if it's raining or snowing or whatever, you've got to go out there and go do your business. So indoor plumbing is going to be a big one. That's going to be one we'll miss. Every time we run out there to the porta potty or whatever, the outhouse, we're going to be thinking about how we used to just, sit down on a nice porcelain seat and look at our phone or read a book or whatever we do. Yeah. And those are my 5 things that I think Gen X will definitely miss in a post-apocalyptic world. If you have some other ideas about things that we might miss, please put those down in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. That helps out a lot. I sincerely appreciate it. Or you can hop over to Buy Me a Cup of Coffee and buy me a cup of coffee. And I'll put that link down in the description. We also have some really cool Gen X gear over at Redbubble. Hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, you name it. All kinds of cool stuff over there. Stickers and buttons. And I'll put that link down in the description as well. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out a lot. Thank you very much for those of you who do that. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is over on the channel page. Some of my favorite videos to do are the user-inspired videos. So thank you to everyone who has submitted suggestions. I really appreciate it. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.